What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Mike, and today's video is going to be on the Week 5 preview, and I'm going to give you a bunch of streaming options to maximize your games played this week. Before we get into the video, let's strive for 200 likes. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button. We are nearing 5,500 subscribers. That is our next goal, and we're super excited to reach that. Let me know in the comments below if you think the Devils are legit. I think they are. Personally, they're 8-3 right now. They are dominating. They had a very, very good comeback win against the Edmonton Oilers. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. And make sure you join the Discord, guys. There are so many passionate hockey fans in there. We have a community of hundreds of people. We can answer all of your questions, your trade questions, or if you want to just talk hockey, that all happens in there. And we are doing a Movember campaign. I'm freshly shaved. The mustache will be coming out in the next couple days. If you want to donate to such a great cause, we are looking to raise $1,000. The link will be in the description below. Without further ado, let's jump into the Week 5 preview and streaming options video. To start this video off, I want to take a look at the best schedules for this coming week so we can identify the best teams to stream players from. So the off nights this week are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, November 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. If you're wondering what the off night means, it's just a night where there are not a lot of games played, so you can stream players and just put them in your lineup without having to take somebody out. So there are a bunch of teams that play 4 games this week. I'm not going to name all of them. If you want to see them all, just pause the video. But I want to identify some of the really good teams where we're going to be targeting streamers. So Boston and Vancouver have 4 games this week with 2 off nights, and then Minnesota and Washington have 4 games this week with at least 3 off nights. Washington has a very interesting schedule this week. I think this may be the first time. Let me know in the comments, but they have 4 games this week on all of the off nights. So they play on the 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th, meaning if you stream Washington Capitals players this week, you're going to get 4 extra games. And that's going to be the basis for this video and these streaming options moving forward. So I did get a comment on the last video about identifying the worst schedules this week. I don't know how relevant it actually is because you're not going to be streaming these players anyways, but just for video purposes, the busy nights this week are the 8th, 10th, and the 12th. So there's going to be a bunch of games happening that week. You're going to have players on your bench that would typically you'd be starting on your rosters. So there are multiple 2-game schedules this week: Anaheim, Chicago, Colorado, Columbus, and Florida. So the way I want to play 2-game weeks sometimes is if there's players you're looking to buy low on, 2-game weeks are a really good time to do it because they're not going to be putting up a lot of points. So for example, Ekblad's coming back soon with Florida, and I think that this is a perfect time to look and buy low on some of these Florida Panthers players because they're not going to be playing a lot of games this week. So I'm going to start making some offers for Sam Reinhart, maybe trading away Brandon Montour, something like that. There are a bunch of teams this week that play on the 3 busy nights. So there's going to be times where you'll have players that you usually play on your roster that are going to be sitting on your bench. This is a perfect time to jump in the Discord and just ask us, who would you sit? Who would you start? There's a lot of very knowledgeable people in there, and I'll be in there active in trying to help you get the best or most optimal lineup each week. Now, jumping over to the streamers for this coming week, like I mentioned, Washington and Minnesota have the 2 best schedules to maximize your games played this week. So instead of throwing a bunch of players at you that I like this week, I think just honing down on a few players that have very good schedules this week is the best possible play for week 5. So the first player here, Connor Sheary of the Washington Capitals, left wing, right wing eligible, just 8% owned, meaning he's likely available in 12 plus team leagues. And he has a very good 4-game schedule, 4 off nights, and he is playing on the top line with Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. So not really too big of a Sheary fan, but again, you're streaming him for the extra games you're going to get this week. Moving on to the next player, Marcus Johansson, left wing, right wing eligible as well. A little bit less ownership here, and again, another good schedule. He is on the power play 1 and on the second line. So we're getting 2 top 6 players here that are likely available on a pretty good Washington Capitals team. That should maximize your starts this week. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild here, Frederick Gaudreau. I've seen some comments about him. It looks like he's taken over that line 1 spot, centering Kaprizov and Zuccarello. So there's a lot of intrigue there. And not only that, but he has triple eligibility. And I talked about this earlier in the season where I didn't know if this was even a thing. But it looks like he is the center, left wing, right wing eligibility this week. 3 off nights, and he's just 4% owned. So Freddie Gaudreau is a very good streaming option. And the reason why his full name isn't spelled out there is it was just a nightmare for formatting. The last guy here is Mason Shaw. I was very interested when I was looking into this guy. He has very good shot and hit volume. He's playing on the second line with Boldy and Joel Eriksson-Ek. He's 0% owned, so in those deeper leagues, Basin Shaw looks like a great streaming option. Moving on now to defenseman streaming targets. Now, I couldn't really find a lot of defensemen that were playing at least in the top 4 at lower ownership, but Erik Gustafsson is a very intriguing option this week. With John Carlson hurt, I thought Dmitry Orlov would be moving up to power play 1, but it looks like it's Erik Gustafsson, and at 0% ownership, you can get a power play 1 defenseman on a very good Capitals power play 1 that has 4 off nights and 4 games this week. I think he is one of the better defenseman streaming options, and especially those people in deeper leagues or goals and assist leagues, I would be looking at Erik Gustafsson, no question, this week. Nick Jensen of the Washington Capitals, his ownership has been skyrocketing. When I last looked, he was plus 21% this week, so he may not be available in your league. But same thing with Gustafsson. With Carlson out, the minutes need to be spread out more. Jensen's playing top 4 minutes, and he's been very good in the peripheral category. Some games over 25 minutes. Recently have been a little bit lower, but I'm still interested in him in those 12-team leagues. Kalen Addison, my boy, the Minnesota Wild. I still have him at plus 10,000 to win Calder, so I need him to have a good week this week. 22% owned, meaning he may not be available in your deeper leagues, but I was pretty surprised to see 22% ownership. He has a very, very favorable week this week. I would be looking at Kalen Addison, especially in goals and assist leagues. Lastly, Ethan Bear. I was just trying to look at defensemen with at least 2 off nights and 4 games this week. Ethan Bear's in the top 4 for Vancouver, and he is a solid deep league player, playing 20 plus minutes with extremely good peripherals, especially blocks. And I would be looking to stream him in 14 plus team leagues. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's also interesting, but his minutes are going down right now with Quinn Hughes out. So in those 12 team leagues, you could maybe look at streaming Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but in the deeper leagues, I'm definitely interested in Ethan Bear. Lastly, guys, I know you want to see me more, but I'm not going to keep you here too long. There are a couple goalie streamers that I'm interested in this week. Now, I am just guessing on what games they're going to be playing this week. Starting off with Yaroslav Halak. So this isn't a back-to-back on the 10th against Detroit. I think maybe they'll give Shesterkin a break and play Halak on the road. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll keep an eye on that. And if you're in the Discord, we'll definitely keep you updated. But on November 13th versus Arizona, it's a home game. It's in a back-to-back. Halak should be getting the start on Sunday. This is a perfect streaming option. And if you're struggling in the goalie categories going into Sunday, I would definitely be looking to stream Halak. Thomas Greiss of the St. Louis Blues. So I would say he is the only goalie on this list that could potentially take over as a starter. I hate to say it. I'm still holding Binnington. Some of you guys have been asking me about that. I don't think Greiss will take over the net, but there is a chance because Binnington has been really bad. But just 2% ownership. He has a game on November 9th on a back-to-back against Philly. Philly is one of the worst offensive teams in the league right now, making it a solid streaming option. Moving on to Philip Gustafsson of the Minnesota Wild. They have 4 games this week, a back-to-back on November 9th on the road against Anaheim. We all know Anaheim is a very poor team, and Minnesota should be heavy favorites in that game. They also play on Sunday. Now, this isn't a back-to-back, but I would just assume he may get the start against San Jose on the 13th at home. We'll keep an eye on it for you guys. Jump in the Discord. We'll be keeping you updated as we go. Spencer Martin of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I don't want to be recommending Vancouver Canucks goaltending right now, but it is a favorable matchup on the 9th on the road against Montreal. I think this could be a good time to stream him. This Vancouver team seems to be coming around a little bit. I would be looking to start him, but with some caution, especially on November 13th. It's another back-to-back game for the Canucks, and it's against Boston, who's 10-1 right now going into this day. It's November 5th. I probably wouldn't stream him there, but if you're really desperate for starts and Halak and Gustafsson are owned already, Spencer Martin on Sunday against Boston is a proceed with caution stream option this week. That'll do it for the Week 5 schedule preview and top streaming options video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.